Welcome to the shelter for Lombok Dogs, a sanctuary for over 75 dogs who have found a new lease on life here on the beautiful island of Lombok, Indonesia. In May 2024, I spent a week volunteering at the shelter, and I want to share with you what life looks like for these dogs and the remarkable work being done to keep them safe, happy, and healthy. Each dog here has a unique personality. Here's Pinky, who's frequently stirring up trouble in the most endearing of ways. I watched him nonchalantly get into another dog's space, almost like the way a kid will irritate his little brother by waving a hand in front of their face while saying, "Not touching you, not touching you." Stevie was more timid earlier in his residence here, but has become something of a boss dog in these parts, since putting on the girth that allows him to command more respect. Stevie seems to find great satisfaction by pushing around some of the other dogs and can frequently be found growling at one dog or another for literally no reason at all. But he remains a very good boy. Speaking of commanding respect, don't forget about Queen Lena. Lena doesn't fight with the other dogs because the other dogs don't dare fight with Lena. She lazes about, untroubled by whatever other chaos is occurring in the yard. You don't mess with the bull if you don't want the horns. Afternoons at the shelter are full of excitement. As volunteers arrive, the dogs know it's time for their favorite part of the day, walks in the hills around the shelter. These walks aren't just about exercise. They're a chance for dogs to explore and sniff and see the world around them. One of their very favorite activities, though, is barking at the monkeys peering down from a safe height in the trees. Not all of the dogs cared for at the shelter actually live within its walls. Some of the pooches reside outside the shelter, perhaps sleeping in the nearby hills. These outside dogs know when to come to the shelter to participate in the group walks and for feeding time. Feeding time at the shelter is a carefully orchestrated event. Many of these dogs came from the streets, so resource guarding is pretty common. Each group is fed separately to make sure everyone gets their fair share. Volunteers and staff watch over each group to refill dishes as needed and make sure that the dogs that gobble up their food don't go raiding other dogs' bowls. The food is not luxurious, but it's enough to fill hungry bellies and keep these dogs healthy. A gruel made from rice, corn, and chicken gives them the basics that they need at a price that the nonprofit rescue can afford. With so many dogs, there's bound to be some chaos. There are timid dogs who get picked on, and more assertive dogs who like to show they're in charge. But it's all part of the pack dynamic, and serious fights are rare. The staff are always nearby to step in if needed, and most of the time, a little space is all that it takes to keep the peace. The shelter doesn't just provide a home for healthy dogs. They also run rehab house for wounded street dogs and a disabled house where dogs with amputations can live safely and comfortably. Seeing these dogs live a full and happy life despite everything they've been through is very inspiring. While most of the dogs at the disabled house are very sweet, Zero was the most interesting to me. Appearing to be Pomeranian-like, quite different from the usual appearance of Lombok dogs, he is small and fiery, and I've no doubt that he would have chewed through my Achilles tendon if given the opportunity. Having to run, genuinely a little scared, from a tiny dog in a wheelchair was both intimidating and very, very funny. Spending time with these dogs was a highlight of my trip to Lombok. I found myself feeling a little guilty, knowing I'd continue on my travels while these dogs were still waiting for their forever homes. If you are inspired by what you've seen, there are many ways to help. You can volunteer, donate, or even just spread the word. Every little bit makes a big difference in the lives of these amazing dogs. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope that you enjoyed this glimpse into life at the shelter for Lombok Dogs.